If you're looking for some straight-up marketing advice that's super chilled and also a bit of a laugh, then grab yourself a drink and get ready for Marketing and Margaritas, a podcast that makes marketing entertaining. Brought to you by Rebel Nation, direct from regional Queensland.
Hello and welcome to Marketing and Margaritas. I am joined by the lovely Fiona from Coffee and Hops today, and we're going to be talking to you about how to put together an image library. So Fiona is literally one of my all-round favourite people. She believes me or not, whether she likes it or not.
Yeah. Based on what we were just discussing, maybe
I
not.
know. Hashtags. Everyone look out for the hashtags on the podcast. We've worked together for a really long time, and we're both obviously in the creative field. Like, you do photography obviously, but you also do like web and design and all that kind of thing too. And I think like we met at council, and then like we left and started working for ourselves, and obviously we didn't do that because we were shit, like we sort of knew stuff. But I think from where we were then to where we are now, you know what I mean? Like, we've both learnt and grown so much, sort of thing. And so that's why I just thought it'd be really cool, because this is one of those conversations that I'm sure you and I have had before. Yeah. But I just thought it was really interesting to kind of come back and touch base, knowing what we know now, sort of thing.
With a decade on for both of us, almost. Yeah.
Basically, yes, a decade on. And I think that as well, that having an image library is one of those things that is so much more actually achievable and accessible than people realise. And when it comes to your marketing, motherfucker, it makes such a difference. So I just really want to make it apparent to people why that's so important. Yep. But before we get into the image library part, let's remind everyone, because you have been on the podcast before. Yes. Was it when it was VOD or just the pod? I don't know if it was video or not.
I think it was only podcast.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. So anyway, I've had to do
this
my
face
today.
This might be the first video treat there. Sorry, well, I was in my PJs when you arrived, so you know what I mean? It's still very casual.
Yeah. And I suppose that's what I miss when, before you went into an agency situation, is that we both were wearing PJs during the day, and now that's not the case.
Oh, man, I had so many sets of PJs as well. Because you'd wear it all day.
We have to, because you have to wear it all day.
And then you have to switch out to the next one. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So
I still get to wear PJs a lot of the time.
Yeah, well, don't rub it in. All right, so photography. How long have you been doing it for?
So I'm actually been doing it professionally for 10 years in June.
Which is when this comes out.
Which is when this comes. It is.
Congratulations. Well, in real time, yesterday was my 10-year anniversary since starting my first business. So we're both turning a decade.
We're both getting older.
Yes, darling. That is what happens.
Yeah. And doing it professionally for almost 10 years, but doing it full-time professionally for 8, I think. Yeah. I was doing it as a bit of a side hustle.
For a little while there. Yeah.
And so, thanks to someone who kept kicking me in the ass about it.
Do you really want to mention your ass right now?
No, actually I don't.
Who kept kicking you and prodding you.
Yeah, kept kicking and prodding me. And I eventually left engineering and started.
You said goodbye, comfortable government job.
Yeah.
Hello, scary fucking self-employed landscape.
Yeah.
And look how far you've come though, man.
Yeah. I think I was about a year in, and after that, and I was just like, oh my God, why didn't I do this sooner? Yeah.
But you have done it, and you're doing amazing. And you're going to Iceland this year, and you've been all around the world doing photography and learning from other photographers and building websites for photographers from the US and all kinds of crazy stuff. I know you're meant to do this rundown bit, but I know it so well.
I'm like, just hand it over. Just monologue it.
And today,
monologue it.
Oh, it is, dude. I think it's one of those things that when you do your own stuff, you're just like, oh yeah, I've done things, whatever.
Yeah.
But then from someone else's perspective, I'm like, dude, you've done some amazing things.
Yeah, I've been very, very fortunate. And also
your skill set, like I said, it's not like you were ever shit, like you're always good.
Yeah.
But your skill set and stuff, man, like it is, your photography is amazing, Phil.
Oh, thank you. I think definitely in the last 3 to 4 years, I have developed a style that I'm very, very happy with.
See, I always thought you had a style, but I feel like you've refined the shit out of it.
Definitely.
I've always like mega polished now.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be very true to colour and not
that overly touched up
not an overly retouched, but even in the likes of family and pet photography, that type of thing, make sure it's true to colour and not go, oh, geez, that kind of editing style where it's all like warm and stuff like that. Like, let's go with that because that's the latest trend. I just don't think in 10 years' time, people are going to look back and go, oh, it's going to be like the sepia of the 70s, 80s, like what happened. So ensuring true to colour is very important to me. And I think since I've realised, oh, that is actually my style.
And I think it's not only the longevity of it, Fee, it's also so you because it is down to earth, it's authentic.
Yeah.
That's 100% who you are.
Yeah.
So it actually represents you and your brand as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it translates well across different genres of photography when you're staying true to colour as well, especially when it comes to commercial photography, and that's what we're going to be coming into. You can't just be adding random filters and stuff to it as the photographer because you need to have images for commercial clients where it does represent their brand, it does represent them.
It's not about it looking like you.
Exactly.
Same with marketing. People should not know that Rebel has done XYZ's marketing because it should look and sound like XYZ, not Rebel. Exactly.
And I think that's why that whole true to colour concept or I suppose style lends itself so well to clients is that then the marketing agency can take the photos that we've done and even more adapt that to the design and the brand of the client. So,
and when we're talking about business, industry, corporate kind of clients and stuff, give us an example. Like, what are some of the industries and stuff that you've worked for in this space? And I know that's a big question.
It's probably easier.
People to realise, like, it's not just like obviously you've done a lot of retail and product photography, etc. But you've photographed so many different industries. For us even.
Engineering, lawyers, beauty, hairdressers, air conditioning cleaners, accountants, restaurants, food type stuff, agricultural businesses, fitness, PT, gyms, that type of thing, and even photographing portfolio work for a toilet block company. Like just just really across the board. There's
and I think that's that you've done like the heavy industrial, the tradies, all that kind of stuff. But then you've done the beauty and the health services and food and retail, which is so much more pretty, etc. You've done those professional services where it's corporate, but it can't be boring. It has to still be engaging. You've done the big fuck off massive groups. You've done like individuals for coaches or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you've just had such a breadth of experience across all these different corporate styles, which is why we're getting you on here completely free and not paying you even in the slightest, except in love and affection.
Even no margaritas.
To be fair, it's like 9:30 in the morning.
I don't care. It is 5 o'clock somewhere.
We literally actually did try doing the podcast. When we at the start, we were testing out, we still test out stuff, but we tested a lot of different things. I'm like, why don't we try and have a drink or two? And this is when it was only just Lani and I, we didn't have a guest. Yeah, it dissolved quickly. It was a very rambly episode, and we literally only had like a drink and a half. I already talk fast, man.
I feel that's entertainment.
Plus the swearing.
Yeah.
I think I dropped the F-bomb twice. I'm like, reel it in,
Bring
Jane.
it back. Bring it back.
But this is why we have you today. About your top tips for putting together an image library, because again, it is such an asset for your business.
Yes.
And when you think about what your marketing assets are, whether it's something about you doing the very best for your business or, potentially wanting to sell it one day, whether you're hanging on to it or you're not hanging on to it, this is one of those things that ticking off and having it is going to pay itself over and over again.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, I'm going to shut up for a little while, and I'm actually going to let the person who knows what we're talking about with photography take over. Fee, top tips for image libraries.
Okay, so my first top tip leans into what we were just talking about, is having that clear brand or clear message. So if I'm working with a new client, I like it when they have all their logo and colour and all that type of thing done. So
yeah, if they got their brand identity already locked
Yeah.
down, because then you can do your bit,
Exactly.
knowing what it needs to sort of not fit into, but align with.
Yeah, so it's not something you want to be doing ahead of that, especially if you're a bricks and mortar or you have a workplace, because you want to have all your signage in place. If you have vehicles, you want to have your vehicles branded. Have all of that in place first is one of my top tips, because I've had a couple of instances where they are rebranding and we've gone in and done the image library before the rebrand's complete, and you've got things like old logos on some things. And
I think you did that for a client of ours, or we had to rebadge stuff in Photoshop and stuff, and it was not
becomes
fun.
it can become a bit of a nightmare. So if you've got all your branding in place, it definitely makes the job easier. It also means that you can get external shots of the building to show customers.
And they're nice to have. You might be like, we don't really need shots of this, and it's like, no, trust me, there'll be some place where you're like, you know what, the Google image on our business profile's shit. Let's upload Fee's gorgeous fucking photo of the front of our office so that it's placemaking for when people are trying to find out where we actually are.
Yeah, and extending on that too, if you take the photo from the direction that customers are most likely going to be coming, especially if your business is a little hard to find.
I never thought of it like that. That's really interesting.
So you want to give people a heads up about what they're looking for as they get to your business.
Yeah, that's also like placement. It's wayfinding.
It's
like
wayfinding.
Actually being able to find your thing. Just because you go there every day doesn't mean it's easy for other people.
Exactly.
I think people forget sometimes, like if they actually have a physical business, how hard it can, how not daunting, but how off-putting it can be when you're going somewhere for the first time and you can't find it, or you have no idea where it is.
Yeah, and it's also the reason why especially in retail, they recommend having your open, clear windows, no frosting, so that people can see what they're walking into. If a person has to open a completely blocked door, the studies show that they're actually less likely to do that because they have no idea on what's on the other side.
Yeah, right.
So you need to give them
like
that.
A room full of monkeys or something.
It could be. Like someone could pop out like with a whole heap of monkeys. Like you just
could have a stripper butt right in your face. Stripper butt right. Anything could happen, Fee, is all I'm saying.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
All I meant.
Yeah. That's stripper butt. Oh my God. Okay. Point 2.
Go to.
Put together a shot list. So you can leave this up to your photographer, but no one knows your business.
At them then.
Yeah.
If things get missed, or if you're like, and I hear this from people for weddings too. They're like, we just left it all to the photographer, but I really would have liked a photo of my nephew with my great-grandmother. How are they supposed to know?
Yes, exactly.
I need to get off my soapbox. This isn't even my thing. This is your
voice. If we start this down the train of wedding photography, we're going to be here all day. A shot list, and you can work with your photographer to develop this in advance. And if you have it set up in advance, it makes things go so much more smoothly. You'll know exactly what props you need, what people you'll need, even what areas of the business might need to have a little bit of a clean house or clean up beforehand.
We want to get action shots of this and this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Where will that be?
Yeah.
In your boardroom? How many people do you want?
Yeah.
Well, who's representative of your clients? Oh, okay, you work with empty nesters. Maybe get an older couple in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it provides the direction for the shoot in a lot of ways.
It's a creative shot list. Really is just creative direction, and it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be scribbled on an A4 page. It can be a Google Doc. It can be reminder list on your phone. But it should be something that you can share with. It has to be something that you share with the photographer, but that you also might want to both work on, because the way your brain thinks might be different to the way your photographer's brain thinks. And if your photographer's brain thinks like mine does, it's going to want to categorise that whole shot list in order to make most efficient use of the time. So rather than having a people shot here, then a couple of like prop shot, and then a people shot down here, we'll just combine all the people shot together.
And that's it. That's your experience kicking in.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I know what it's like to be directing people and stuff or whatever, or I know when I go get these things, let's do headshots first when everyone's nice and fresh because that's their close-up, and then we'll do their group shots. Then they're done, and I'll do the front of house and product ones, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know the sequencing and stuff that's going to work best for the business too.
Yeah, and you also don't want people having to stand around, like if you have gotten models in or whatever, you don't want them standing around twiddling their thumbs while you're taking a detail shot of something else.
You know, you don't want your staff actually sitting there waiting while you're getting, the freaking close-ups of something or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, well, they could be working.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So you just having that shot list gives everyone clear direction on the day.
On the same page.
Yeah, on the same page. Yeah.
Next tip.
3. So if you've got a story to tell, you can use the image library as a way of telling that story. So it might be...
Oh, please explain.
So it might be that you have a series of steps in your customer experience or your customer workflow. If someone's coming in, so as an example, in the beauty industry, you might have the customer come in to the reception desk. You want to get a photo of that. You want to get them when they're lying down, like a before photo type thing. Then the therapist working on you or working on the customer, and then paying, like, see you later. So you can tell a story.
That final aftercare process, maybe handing across products and whatever.
Yeah.
Even potentially the booking online part and stuff.
Exactly.
How easy it is, like, oh, here's a hand clicking, and it's not stock image, it's actually your website that they're doing stuff on.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's any story or any series of things, include that in your shot list. Or if you're making a product, that's where you can definitely tell a story of, the ingredients or the inputs. You might have a detail shot of that. Then you might have a detail shot of hands making something, then or a larger workshop thing, and then right through to packaging, something like that. So
how it actually arrives in, even in the packaging, but then also say it was a retail product, like someone opening that package and stuff, and the delight of pulling it out and looking at all the bits and pieces and stuff like that. Like, so it's like, what's that full, like you said, that full customer experience. Yeah,
and it leans into what we were talking about before about trying to remove any kind of mysticism about what you do or what the client might expect.
Yeah, that's it. The more realistic you can be, like clear you can be with expectations.
Yep.
It's not only that people feel more comfortable going ahead when they have a good sense of what's going to happen, but it's also transparency.
Yep. Tip 4 is to, and I think the word's overused, but be authentic.
It is, man, but it's like, what else are we going to say?
I know. I don't know what else the word to use, but authentic. So if you can, try and avoid bringing in the atypical model for shoots. Use your own clients.
Yeah, use real people.
Use real people. Use your own clients. Use your own employees.
Relatable, so much more inclusive.
Yes. Yeah. And your clients might get a kick out of it, or you can say to them, oh, well, it's just going to be the back of your heads, or we're just going to have one image of the side of you if they're a little bit worried. But wherever you can, use your own clients, use your own employees, use your own workshop, that type of thing. It just lends to that authenticity and really sets you apart from stock imagery. Because
it doesn't look false.
It doesn't look false.
Real.
Yeah.
I think too, like leaning into that a little bit, is like obviously like for the podcast today. I didn't do hair, but I did put on some makeup. I almost forgot bronzer. I was very white. I hopefully have a little bit of colour.
Yeah.
I mean, you look beautiful. You always do nice eyes and stuff. I can't even do eye makeup. Anyway, like obviously everyone's going to want to touch themselves up to look nice and look their best.
Just touch themselves. What is this podcast becoming? All right.
Touch themselves up.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people can go a little bit too extreme with it.
Yes.
And it's like, it can then look a little unnatural as well. And it's sort of like, I mean, yes, you want to look your best, but like, don't don't be dissuaded from the fact that looking your best means looking like you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, how you look is how you look. And that's
exactly
really a good thing.
Yeah.
Because no one looks
no one
like
else.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of those things I just think sometimes people go a little bit too far sometimes.
Yeah.
Obviously, more chicks with their hair and makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. And then when people see you in real life, it's like...
I call that professionally catfishing. So
say that to clients directly.
No, well, it's actually...
Photos. Look, I'm a bit concerned that this range would be a bit of a catfish.
It's actually a term a client suggested to me. So I asked him during his headshots what instigated him wanting to get his headshots taken. And I ask clients quite a bit, especially when I first meet them, whatever. And he said that he was meeting someone who was also in business, and he was going off the headshot that she'd provided or that she had in her signature or whatever.
Again, setting the expectation.
Yep.
Here's a headshot.
Yep.
That's who I'm looking for.
Yeah. So when he went to the coffee shop to find her, he kept walking past, and then he realised that the woman who was like 20, 25 years older than her headshot was who he was meant to meet. And he said, I felt like I'd been professionally catfished. And I'm absolutely in love with that term now. And and I've had a few now where I've just said, well, we don't want to, professionally catfish. Like, just make sure that, and that's why I will never overly retouch. You'll always see skin texture in my headshots, and it's because of that. You don't want someone to walk straight past you because they don't recognise you from your headshot.
Sorry, the reason I'm Googling is, I don't know if you remember, but years ago there's a certain publication that we used to giggle about because they would overtouch the cover shots. And remember that time that person had no nose? Yes. Oh my God. Just the shading around your nose is so unsightly. And I'm just going to wipe all that out.
Yeah. Don't have a nose. Oh my God. So you need to have skin texture.
I've been for a long time.
You need to have wrinkles. I will always retouch. If you've got lines in here, I will always take them out because I don't feel that they detract from your facial expression.
I'm a very cranky person, and that's representative of my crankiness.
You only have them when you look cranky, so so maybe don't do that.
Maybe it's cranky at you and got my photos, and that needs to stay.
But some people get that. But I will always leave like the laugh lines and stuff like that, because that's what gives you character.
Yeah, 100%.
One's in here, and honestly, I haven't had much of an issue with having to remove these lately because every second person's getting Botox. So as soon as you get Botox, apparently these go.
Oh, really? See, I don't have that, but I got some crevices up there. I'm like, I wouldn't mind Botoxing that at some stage, maybe. Not just yet.
No.
But potentially in the future. I'm not ruling it out.
I couldn't. No needles near the face, thanks.
Oh, really?
Thanks. No.
Cool. Tip number 5.
Okay, so this kind of goes with the shot list, but to think about all the different uses that these images will go to. So this also comes down to your photographer as well. They need to be aware of what the final uses will be.
Yeah,
so
just communicate to people. It's not hard.
Yeah. So we're talking socials, website, print, signage. Anything I'm forgetting? I think that's about it.
That's the main thing. I think it's just thinking about the fact that is it going to be used in digital and in print, and then when it comes to digital, like for social, you might actually want to have 6 variations of that one shot because you're going to be repurposing your content. For things like website, you're going to have your insets, but for banners, you need the fucking space on the side, man.
Yeah. So websites, you need them.
Hero images.
Yeah, website hero images, you need them wide. You need them with white space or a bit of blank space. You can put text over.
Because there's going to be text there, exactly.
Yeah. So you don't want them like a tight crop around someone's head. You want them like super wide, showing background, preferably blurred background. It's great. But again, your photographer should have no trouble nailing this, but they just need to know, obviously,
you need to tell them for them to nail
what it's being used for. So this tip is about planning for the different uses. So you also want to plan for having people in them and no people in them. Some detail shots with textures and patterns if that lands in with the brand.
Yeah. And it's so cute, like when you do get that, like if you've got a product that you love, like people think, I think it might actually been you telling me this one time, don't always be so concerned about getting every photo back here to see the full thing, because you're like, this detail right in here might actually be quite interesting, and it just is a different perspective on that same product sort of thing.
Yeah. So I go into a shoot all the time with the motto near, far, high, low. So you want to take shots near or very close, and then far away. You also want to change your perspective as well. So you want to go to make things more interesting.
All the time, hey?
Yeah, that's why I spend half my life on my stomach on the ground. Low or high. So you've got drone is obviously your the extreme there, or photographer laying on her stomach in the sand. So by just changing the perspective from what people are used to seeing at eye level makes things instantly more interesting.
Because it's not a perspective.
Because it's not a perspective they see.
Like, here's that thing I know, but from a different angle.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what a lot of photography is, though, man. It's perspective.
It is.
You know?
Well, yeah, perspective and light, pretty much.
Yes, true.
And then when you're also planning for different uses, it's not just in terms of image orientation or what you're taking a photo of, but it could be if you're getting an image library done for the year, and you know that you're going to be posting about Christmas and Mother's Day and Easter and World Coffee Day, that you can,
as all of us do,
as all of us should, then you want to make sure you include that type of stuff in your image library. And I've done one recently for a crew who know that they're going to have they do their Christmas shot every year, as in a team Christmas shot. They got all the Christmas decorations out when I got there in, I want to say February we did it. And we took a team Christmas photo, and they will use that. So it's, just trying to nail off all those ones that you know that you're going to be using in your marketing for the rest of the year.
And that's the thing too, it's not like this needs to be something where you're a one and done.
No.
Like, you can get shoots progressively, and it's not like when you get your new shoot that you have to throw all your old photos out and get their shit.
No.
It means that you can keep adding to it, and that's why it's called a library. Yes.
And that's where you want diversity in the people that you use. So if you have a team and you do have quite a high turnover, I'll always recommend not to have a team photo, because you can guarantee the week after I've taken it that someone will leave and it's outdated. But what you might want to do then is, in your image library, you have various team members doing different things together, or you might have a key group, have their group photo taken. And then when you go to redo your image library, it might be that only 2 or 3 images from that past one you can't use anymore because the employee's no longer there.
They get archived out, but you still have 3/4 of it that you can use, and then you top it up with some of your new ones.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Awesome. Top 5 tips.
Top 5 tips.
Okay, and so as always, we do like to do a wrap-up to bring it all together, bring it on home.
So when should you update your image library? Which...
every 10 years.
Bum, bum.
Okay, well, that's the case for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got the budget for it, you could do it every year easily. And like you said, just archive out a few old ones and then bring in the new suite of images as well.
And it's not like you need to go and get the front of your office every single time. It's not about getting repeats of your stuff.
Exactly.
It's adding to it. It's fleshing it out. Like you said, maybe you're like, oh, okay, we do training and stuff. We didn't get any of that in our original photo shoot.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to actually spend 20 minutes doing a whole bunch of different workshop-y looking ones, etc.
Yeah.
Because businesses change and evolve, man. You want to keep capturing that and adding it to your image library.
Yeah. So if you can...
So you're saying once a year.
If you can, 12 months is good. At a minimum...
There's a lot of changes in 12 months.
Yeah, at a minimum 2 to 3 years. And it also depends on how... you could have me in there for 4 hours for a 4-hour image library, and I wouldn't need to go back for 2-3 years. If you get me in for 1.5, 2, then every year. So it just depends on your business. You also don't want to be using the same images on social media for years on end. So they do have a bit of a shelf life before people will get
You want to
that's
repurpose
them.
stuff, that's great.
Yeah.
But also there is, like, you can't use things to ad nauseum.
Yeah.
But then also it's like, just because then something doesn't necessarily get used for a few years, then it's like, oh, well, if you haven't been using it ad nauseum, you can do it as a throwback shot, and it's kind of fresh. You're like, oh, look at these baby faces.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Fiona. Really
No
do
worries.
appreciate it. And even I picked up some stuff there, which I always do
Winning.
when we talk anyway. I picked up a bunch of new stuff from you today that I'm going to be using all the time.
I'm sure you will.
Like I said, stay tuned for hashtags.
Yeah, loving it.
Thank you so much for coming along. I really do appreciate it, as always.
No worries. My pleasure.
Hope you also got a lot out of that. Stay tuned for the next one. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Marketing and Margaritas. Find more free marketing tips, tricks and laughs at rebelnation.com.au.